Pep Guardiola at Manchester City, who I'm amazed to see has let go of Cole Palmer. But you wouldn't question his decisions, would you?
That was seamless, by the way. Getting into that was seamless. I love the way you done that. It's one of those transfers. You said it earlier. It's a crazy transfer. It's one of those you'd expect on deadline day. You'd expect in January, deadline day. Look, if you don't want to stay at Man City, you leave. Now, I get the feeling that he wanted to leave to go and get games. I think we heard Pep Guardiola say, didn't we, at the end of last season, that he's either staying at Manchester City or he's leaving. He's not going on loan. He's leaving for a fee. He's going to go permanent. Now, I think that was a warning to a certain extent to say, trust me. Trust me. I will make you a player. I will make you a top player like Phil Foden. Phil Foden trusted when everyone, you and I probably included, saying he needs to go out, get games because he's a top talent. He trusted what Pep Guardiola was doing, and now look at him. He's flourishing in that side. And I think Pep Guardiola sent out a slight warning, a little warning to Cole Palmer to say, no, you trust me or you'll leave him for good. Now, I think he's been advised wrong, in my opinion, Cole Palmer. I think he should have stayed. But he's gone to Chelsea. He's been offered probably a lot more money than he's on at Man City. I'm not saying he was probably struggling at Man City, but probably a lot more money. It's going to be easier to break into the first team at Chelsea than it would be at Manchester City. But there was gaps opening up with Mahrez leaving, Gundogan leaving. He could have backed himself to break into that team. I watched him in the Euros. I thought he had a fantastic tournament as well. He's a top talent. Needs to do a little bit more. Needs to work on some of his weaknesses, which Pep Guardiola would have said. But I think it was one of those that if you don't want to stay for Pep Guardiola, we've seen that notoriously, you leave.
I don't want to be too harsh on Cole Palmer because there's always a situation that the club has said to him, we want you to leave, which plenty of the ex-players I've worked with here have said that's happened to you. You know, you don't want to leave the club, you don't want to move your family or your kids, whatever, and the chairman comes in, says, we need the money for you, we need you to go. I don't think Manchester City need the money, but obviously, you know, this is a lot of money for a player who hasn't played many games. Of course, he's a homegrown player through their academy, and so would be very good in terms of balancing the books, in terms of financial fair play. So I would still be amazed if they actually said that to a product who's been playing recently, who's been involved in the first team picture, getting minutes on the pitch. So they would be saying, we're desperate for you to leave. If Cole Palmer has gone to the club and said, what are my opportunities going to be? And they've said, look, the very bit part, we'll play you, you know, cup games, League Cup game here or there. You know, the dead rubbers in the Champions League, you'll get a game, etc., etc. But we've bought in Jeremy Doku for a lot of money. He's going to be ahead of you in the pecking order. You can understand it to a degree then, but I don't see why. I can understand why you'd want to leave, but why go to Chelsea? With respect, this is a brand new project, totally new squad with no real guarantees. Yeah, I get it. Mauricio Pochettino's a good coach, but I don't think there's a guarantee that Cole Palmer starts for Chelsea. He's swapping a very similar circumstance at Manchester City for Chelsea. But it's the club that you know, the club that you've been at since you were a kid, who you've already won trophies with, and with respect to Mauricio Pochettino, for me, the best manager in the world. I would have given it one more season with Guardiola to try and improve my game, to try and iron out those weaknesses in an environment that I know, with a squad that I know, people around me that I'm obviously comfortable with because he's played with them for a number of years now. I just don't see how Chelsea is going to be a big step forward in his career unless he's an immediate starter, which I just can't see.
I think the arrival of Jeremy Doku as well, you mentioned him, I think that could have been key. He's either been told that you're not going to play or you're going to play league games, and like, his aspirations will be playing for the national side. He's just won the under-21 tournament. He'll want to break into that team. So where can you go from Manchester City? If you're given the option, Pep Guardiola says you're given the option, you can leave. Where do you go? Do you go to a Wolves? I don't know, a Bournemouth, a Brentford? I'm not disrespecting those teams.
But Chelsea's Chelsea.
Chelsea is a huge football club. Poor season last year, we know. So you go to another huge football club. In terms of Manchester City, they're very, very best. We know that. So you don't want to drop two down because it could be a huge mistake.
Which club would you have placed, at least the next 12 months of your career, which club would you have placed your career in their hands?
I would have... I'm contradicting myself a little bit. I would have left as well. I'd have gone to Chelsea. But I'm saying what I'm saying now because of what if I knew then what I know now, in terms
which
of...
is, Cole Palmer could have been given a very big contract here. You just take that, would you?
I would have taken the contract, yeah. I had an opportunity to leave Charlton when we got relegated. It's a different scenario here, but to go to Fulham, stay in the Premier League, I didn't. I ended up staying at Charlton, felt we'd have an opportunity of getting promotion. We had the best squad in the division. It didn't materialise that way. We didn't get promoted. I was then a championship player. It's hard to break back into the Premier League. Didn't perform too well as well. So unless I got a promotion,
But here's the thing.
I would have taken the contract.
You were a first-team player. So you knew whichever club you played at, you would be getting regular minutes.
Yes.
Why would you, if you're Cole Palmer, swap basically a bit part role at Man City for what could easily be a bit part role at Chelsea?
Well, one, I'm hoping the main reason is it would be easier to break into the Chelsea side. I think so anyway, as opposed to the Manchester City side, especially with the arrival of Jeremy Doku as well. So in terms of footballing, he wants to play. He wants to break into the England full squad. So he needs to be playing as many games as possible. If he's told that he's only going to play a bit part, maybe that's in his mind. I mean, the second thing is financially. People don't want to hear that, but you look, why are players going to Saudi Arabia? Because they're paying the most money. Now, if he's off, he's going to have been on a good contract, but not the contract he's on at Chelsea. So financially, he's probably thinking, well, I'm stable now. I'm set for life now. So now I can concentrate solely on my football at another top football club as well in Chelsea, break into that side. And he could be making us both eat our words, really, in terms of stay at Man City. And in a year's time, he could be in the England squad because he's had a fantastic season at Chelsea. So time will tell.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.